Please join me in welcoming to the podium our next speaker in the person of Engineer Biodun Otunola, the Managing Director of Planet Projects Limited, as he speaks to us on rethinking Nigeria's infrastructure development in the past 25 years. You're welcome, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Baba Ide Sanwo-Olu, represented by Honorable Commissioner. Your Excellency, the former Governor of Ondo State, Governor Dr. Olusegun Mimiko. Other distinguished ladies and gentlemen. GF, thank you very much, sir. Congratulations. I must say I've been a blessing. You've been a blessing to my life over the course of the time that I've met you. And everybody has said so many things about you. So I can publicly acknowledge that some of the things I've done in my life, you were instrumental to them. Thank you very much, sir. I'm also very happy that today I have an opportunity that I've been looking for to speak about Iroko. You see, I have the privilege of having worked with 11 governors. And by the time this 4 years is done, I will have been done with about 16 governors. I say he's one of the best governors this country have ever had. I'm not a praise singer, and he didn't hire me because he's not contesting for any election. Where I'm talking in retrospection. I will speak more about that as time goes on. Well done, sir, for what you did for people of Ondo State. I've been given a very challenging task, but I will do my best to discharge it. All of you know today that one of our biggest problems in Nigeria today is infrastructure. It is a very big problem. Be it road, power, diesel costs, different issues. Airport is a problem. Seaport is almost all our ports have collapsed. And then we find ourselves in a situation where we are competing with other countries in the 21st century. So I try to look at what exactly are we dealing with. And I picked two of the subjects, transport and power. And then you see some of the problems we have faced as a country. While other speakers have spoken about poverty, joblessness, and other issues, I will say to you that at the heart of our problem is the composition of policy makers in this country. Nigeria is at construction stage. But what we have done is to borrow strategy of countries that are at operation and sustainability stage. That's why we can't build anything. And that is the truth. Please, go and look at people making policy for us to the economic team. No single engineer there. So how do you build anything? You have accountants, you have lawyers, economists, professors, who are talking about what they know nothing about. So how do you want to build road? How do you want to build power? How? It's practically impossible. And then the next thing they do, they go to London, bring a consultant. Look, I can tell you, most of the engineers we have in London have never seen a completed project in their career. That is the truth. I'm talking of large-scale infrastructure projects. The recently completed project is Crossrail. It took almost 40 years for it to be delivered. Those are the people you bring to Nigeria to come and advise you on engineering skill and solutions. It's impossible. That's why we're in this quagmire today. So, if you look at the history of how we got here, again, we have allowed policy making to be led by finance people, and therefore they determine everything that is going on in Nigeria. So, you have a situation where most of the projects that are done in Nigeria today, they are not solution-driven, they are transaction-driven. I can give you a lot of examples, okay? So what I'm saying in essence is, we need to find a way to put the right people in the right space. Look at Third Mainland Bridge. With due respect to our former governor in Lagos State, what a lawyer could not do in 8 years, an engineer did in 7 months. It is because it's in our nature as engineers. Don't mind me that I'm wearing suits. I have to appear corporate today. But the truth is, engineers are trained to produce. We are going to design, and of course to construct. But when you are not given the opportunity, it's finance people that are taking policy for Nigeria. How do you want to have power? Can you give what you don't have? The answer is no. Today, we have a Minister of Works who is doing an excellent job. When you hear the minister speak, he's talking about concrete, he's talking about strength of materials, he's talking about alignment, he's talking about route, and he's doing this work. Who do we have as Minister of Power? What has been the most dominant topic in power today? Can anybody tell me? What? Tariff and meter. So, what is the relationship between tariff and meter and the background of the minister? He's an accountant. So he gravitated towards what he knows, which is what? Money. So how does he give you power? It's impossible. I'm telling you, real life experience. You cannot give what you don't have. The man can give you power. He is saying to us, look, Nigeria needs 6 million meters. Is the meter our problem? We don't have power. You are military darkness, and people are paying for it. Today, all of us have become bandits. They bandit us, band A, bandit B, bandit C, and ask us to be paying us sort of ridiculous money. This is a big problem for us in this country. We have put the wrong people in the right places, and we accept it. And we think we are going to make progress. It just says no. So, this is really part of the issue that I just described now. I said 80% of our problem is technical. But the people taking the decisions are people who are finance people, with due respect to lawyers. I hope I won't get a class suit when I leave here. And truly, the first few years is what you need for construction. But for sustainability, is where you need lawyers and accountants. Unfortunately for us, they are the ones making decisions for us in Nigeria today. You see, this chart says a lot about where our problem is. This is how the West developed. I used to do a lot of consulting work for Oxford University. And one of the things I said to them is that most of you guys, this generation in the UK, you don't even know how this country was built. They met a developed country. They don't know how the country was built. They are all about models and models and models. So we should be talking to their great-grandfather in the grave, or go and look at the archive materials. But these are the people you bring there as consultants to come and advise you. They don't know what to do. That's why in the past 25 years, this country haven't built anything. And I will prove it to you. This is how the West was built. So, they started from industrial and construction stage. This is where Nigeria is today. Okay? When they finish building, they bring accountants and lawyers for compliance, for sustainability. Accountant drafts policy for us, nobody should steal our money. They bring lawyers. Lawyer, please, make sure nobody contravenes regulation, provide regulations, regulatory environment, reforms, all sorts of things were done. And that's why you see today that they have a sustainable society. Now, His Excellency Governor Miko said, we have joblessness. This is where they created their own job. How many lawyers do you need in the country? I don't know. But how many welders do you need? How many bricklayers do you need? This is where we should create the job. But do you know what we have done in Nigeria? This is what we are doing. So we put people who are supposed to be at sustainability stage, second stage, we put them as first stage. So lawyers, accountant, finance people are the ones taking decisions on how to construct for you. So it's not possible. Even if you look at the weight, look at this diagram. Can this cone carry this weight? I'm telling you, we have a deeper problem in Nigeria. Unless we go back here. This is where the employment is. So today, you have finance people telling you what to do in infrastructure. A lot of the projects going on in Nigeria today, they are transaction-led, not solution-led. Again, I give credit to Governor Mimiko. You know, one of the things I say about him is that he's one governor that remained true to type. No flyover, no ring road. Poorer states around him are doing flyover. Meanwhile, there's no traffic. In fact, there's one that is even doing a second flyover. To where? I met MD of a bank in Lagos. He said to me that Lagos needs 17 flyovers to connect island to the mainland. That they have designed everything, they are going to finance it. For them, it's about transaction. The bigger, the better. It's not about the solution. And I asked him, so if you build this, Lagos will end up like New York. Do you want Lagos to be like New York? Then he kept quiet. The second one is on Lekki Ekpe Road. When they were constructing the road and putting toll gate, I asked him, I said, sir, do you think this is a solution for this corridor? He said, I don't care about the solution. I just want to take advantage of the traffic. We know the result. Bogus roundabout, which I'm proud to say we came in there and removed all those nonsense roundabouts. Here is where our solution lies. We need to go back to this and make sure we allow people who know how to construct, because this country is at a construction stage. We should stop producing more lawyers. We should produce more bricklayers and welders and go back to construction. Otherwise, every 4 years, budget cycle, poverty is increasing. We are deceiving ourselves with GDP and all those jargon. They have no bearing here. GDP have no bearing in this economy. We should forget about it. Every time they tell you GDP is increasing, there's no power. There's no good road, no airport. People are jackpotting every day. They say GDP is going. Which GDP? We need to go back and check this. So, now one of the things I've done here is to look at what happened in Nigeria between, I divide Nigeria into 225 years. 73 to 1999. And then 99 to 2024, 225 years. In the period of 74 to 99, our population was 84 million. Today, we're about 171. Then, you have a lot of technical ministers. The military were actually smarter. They put their best engineers forward. I don't want to mention them. But in between here is technical, political, it's a combination of the two. Then procurement, I'm going to speak to this also. Under military, they award a contract, go and do the job. Under civilian, well, you know what we do? Competitive tendering, selective tendering, all those nonsense jargon. You know the man you want to give the job to. You spend 1 year because you want to satisfy World Bank, IFDB, all this. It doesn't make sense. Award the job to him, let him go and do the job. These are the problem. Now, you see again, technical consultant under the military. Today, they are transaction advisors. Does transaction advisor build anything? This is part of the problem. Every major project in Nigeria today, you hear transaction advisor. Who are these people? Lawyers, accountants. It's a problem. Now, let me show you the result. The result is, in the preceding 25 years, this country built 36 major infrastructure projects. The one after, 1999 to now, we built only 15. Meanwhile, our population has doubled. So we build 1/3. Why? Because you want to do a major project today, they say go and talk to a transaction advisor. That's part of the problem of Fort Mainland Bridge. I will say more on that. So, I've looked at how do we get out of this problem. There are 4 key issues that I picked out. One of them is, I mentioned this earlier, the people who are advising you, the policy mix of the people who are advising Nigeria. We need to put people that can build things in there, not just O&M and sustainability people. Procurement issue, I'll speak to that later. Operation and maintenance. And then, of course, funding. The so-called PPP, PFI is not the way. I'm going to show you from my own findings. So, a lot of people that we bring in, I've mentioned that a lot of times, it's all about finance and transactions. You can't allow that to happen. It can happen in the UK. They have gone past their construction stage. They are operation and maintenance and sustainability stage. That's why they tell you climate change. Is climate change our problem in Nigeria? We are solving different problems. They have a different problem. We have a different one. But because we are not ingenious enough, anything they say to us, we embrace it. Their population grows 1%, 2%, 0.1. Even most of this is about immigration. But look at our population. So we have to adopt a different approach to deal with these issues. Then, I mentioned this also. A lot of technical problems have become transaction in our banking industry. Bankers are the ones advising on everything. They have different departments. Things that have no expertise. They bring one white man who have never delivered anything in his life. And then you bring him here to come and advise you how to build port, how to build the railway. We are better follow the Chinese model. So, again, we don't have issue of finance, management issue. We don't have capacity to execute a lot of the project. At the heart of all of this is technical problem. A lot of engineers, technical people, we never allow them in the room. And that's where we have all this problem. I remember when Governor Mimiko was in the office, he had a very bright engineer, Engineer Biodun. He gave him full support. And that's why you see a lot of infrastructure development that you saw. Now, these are the two scenarios I mentioned earlier, where a bank MD told me you need 17 bridges to cross island to the mainland, and then the second one is like Ekpe. Now, I bring three of them that I think are engineers that have done this nation proud. The first one is Enesin Dukwe. Whatever we say about telecom today, this is the brain behind it. He was the one that put it, he's an engineer. He's not a banker, he's not a lawyer. But he led the way. And today, whatever we celebrate is success. Secondly, Batinaji. If you remember in this country, the best time we ever had power between 1999 and today was when Batinaji was Minister of Power. Power was stable. It was stable, I remember that time. But the minute he left, things started going crazy again. Because the usual boys took over and transaction continues. And the man went to Aba. Today, he's delivering untransferred power to them in Aba. The third one, of course, is Umai, who is doing a fantastic job as working minister as far as I'm concerned. Now, I don't hate lawyers. I don't hate accountants. But I found a good mentor in one of them, Mr. Bayo Ogunlesi. I followed him a lot. Please, our finance people, lawyers, investment banker, follow this man. He doesn't build, but he stays in operation and maintenance. So what he does is buy brownfield assets, turn it around, improve the operation and efficiency, and run away with it. Please, this should be our role model, not construction. Allow us to do the job, and we'll give this country a better infrastructure. Thank you. The other issue is PPP, PFI, public-private partnership. I ask myself, which country have been developed by PPP? Please tell me. I want to know. Some years back, I had a meeting with Aston in Paris about a railway project. And the first question they asked me is, before we listen to you, what is your own model of railway development? Is it public or private? I said public. They shook my hand. They said, we think you don't know what you're doing. That a lot of stupid people, this is what they said to me, French, have come here, wear suit, and told us that you can build railway as PPP. And we told them, we built railway in over 70 countries, over 120 years. Everything is public sector. Now, where do you people get this kind of? I said, no, don't worry. I understand where this is coming from. It's our usual brothers, bankers and lawyers. So, And look at the Alhaji Dangote. You can say it's the best success of our private sector. It took Dangote almost 15 years to build one refinery. Obasanjo, Muritala regime, built 3 refineries in 3 years. I'm sure if you ask Alhaji Dangote to come and build another, he'll tell you no, he's not interested anymore. Because nobody, no country have successfully built their primary infrastructure using private capital. Private capital are used for extensions. They are used for extension increase, but not to build your primary road network. And that's part of the problem. People go to Harvard, they drop their brain and bring certificates and tell us different stories. I can't fathom that. I want to know that story. Is it Dubai? Is it China? Is it private capital that is used in all these places? There's no. There's something wrong with what we have been told here. And some of us, having worked in government sector over the years, we discovered that some people are trying to hide their inefficiencies, inadequacies, by bringing foreigners here to come and tell us stories. But it's not going to happen anymore. We promise you. So, now, I've noted here that if you hire them, so the first thing they do under the PPP model is to tell you, hire a transaction advisor. Now, is road you want to build, though, this is where you end up. Business case, expression of interest, financial model. These are all the things you start talking about. That's why Nigeria have not been able to build any new road network in 25 years. We have not added any new road network. I stand to be challenged, except Second Niger Bridge. And guess what? Second Niger Bridge also started as a PPP project. What happened eventually? Government have to put the money and build it. Lagos Ibadan Expressway, the same thing. We have not built anything new. All we're doing is repairing. To even repair is a problem, because the people taking the decision have no idea how to build anything. All they know is model, business case, transaction advisor, pay lawyers, pay all of these people. Then instead of looking at drawings, they are looking at PowerPoint presentation. It's a problem. Instead of hiring hardcore engineers, you go and hire transaction advisor. When you hire transaction advisor, what do you end up with? Transaction. Do you end up with the road? No. Do you end up with power? No. I think the problem, you know the answer already. It's a big issue. Now, my own suggestion is, let's go and borrow and fix this country. So when you hear that the debt to GDP ratio of America is 103%, UK is 101%, they spend all this money to build their infrastructure. Why are we afraid? We are giant of Africa, we shouldn't. The third one, procurement process. This is where you have the high level of hypocrisy. Look, everybody in government gives contract to their friends. I work with 11 governors. But why do you want to deceive yourself and spend 1 year to give that job to your friend in front of you? Because you want to compete and say you are globally competitive, or you are following what they call international best practices. Who is deceiving who? But guess who pays for it? The country. The project is supposed to finish in 4 years. You spend 2 years doing documentation that is not necessary. Again, you go back to what I said earlier. You are using the strategy of O&M when you are in construction stage. The question I ask them is this. Maybe Mr. Edun will help me here. Where is the tender document for London Bridge? I want to see it. Or London Tower. Show me the bidding document. Because that's the stage we are. Just award and continue your work. A lot of people that have no job now should be on construction sites. We should be working. But go to various ministries. They employ people who are looking at tender document, forging document, doing all sort of nonsense things. Meanwhile, the man you want to give the job, you know him. So who is deceiving you? But the nation suffers for it. The project you are supposed to do get delayed. We all have the consequences today. So as far as I'm concerned, please identify people that are competent, that have the capacity, give them the job tomorrow, let them go and start. And I'll show you an example as we go on. So, then for the operation and maintenance, government should not operate. Nigerian government have never operated anything well. So this is where I welcome our brothers, lawyers, accountants, please come and help us. Design the regulation, design the tariff, design everything, but don't go into construction. Please help us here. We need you here. Private sector, stay in operations. Be it power, be it rail, we welcome you in that space. So, these are my key recommendations. I mentioned a lot of them before. I say on procurement, let's do direct procurement. You know the man you want to give the job to. So 2 is give it to him, pay him what he can deliver. We don't need to waste time. We don't need to beat around the bush. Secondly, funding. Nigeria should borrow. Let's borrow as much as we can borrow. If it's $100 billion, put our people to work, but give the money to Nigerians to fix this country. No foreigners will develop Nigeria for you. We can copy the Chinese model, but we should borrow to fix it. Don't wait for any private sector. I was part of the Lekki port development. I know what they went through before they could finish. Almost 17 years. Can we be building one port every 17 years? The country will have been 400 million. Everything. That's why we're having congestion everywhere. Because we believe private sector will get the money. But you know the problem? To access 1 naira or $1 as a private investor is a very long process. Some years back, General Electric came to Nigeria and said federal government should give them narrow gauge, that they were going to do it. So I went to the Ministry of Transport and they told me, oh, this is the new deal. GE is coming. I told the guy, I said, it's never going to happen. He said, what do I mean? I said, it's not going to happen. He said, Oga, in my 15 years of service in federal government, this is the fastest approval we ever got. The chief of staff called everybody to the president and said, look, I want this memo in council next week. And you're telling me it's not going to work. I said, it's not going to work. 1 week later, we spoke. He said, Oga, this thing is becoming real low. I said, why? He said, GE have not come to sign the MOU. I said, don't worry. 6 months later, he called me around December to say, Oga, tell me why you said they will never come. I said, look, Nigeria can never pass the risk assessment of a lot of these international companies. You want GE to invest $2 billion in Nigeria. How do you want to do that? How? And secondly, even if they're going to do it, they will spend 7 years to do studies. Studies upon assessment, risk assessment, climate change, and all sort of things. Is that what we are going to wait for as a country to develop? One of our former ministers went to Germany to look for a loan to develop a railway project. You know the first question they asked him? They said they learned there are a lot of baboons on that corridor. And that I should go and count it and bring it back. That's the first discussion. He thought it was a joke, but he said no. That's part of our ESG strategy. That you must pass that. And that they cannot approve a project where they will kill animals. And that bamboos are special species. So this is where you go to go and borrow money and ideas. People that value baboon more than your own life. No, something is wrong somewhere. Anyway, I will give this administration some credit because they've done some things. This is the scorecard. In terms of having the right people, well, as I mentioned earlier, we have a Minister of Works that knows what he's doing. Power, I'm not sure. Then financing. If it was some years ago, the coastal road that has been done today, some people will say, oh, let's do PPP. They will spend the next 10 years looking for private capital. They will not find anything. But today, I'm a fan of the coastal road, by the way. You know why? In 64 years, we have not added new road network to Nigeria. I grew up with Lagos, Ibadan, Shagamu, Benin, East West Road, no new road. And the population have grown from 80-something to almost 200 million. No new road. All the roads are congested, trailer invested, accident, everything. We need to expand the infrastructure base of this country. And somebody has taken the bull by the horn. How in finance is not going to, but he will do it. So they are doing the right thing with looking for government funds to do it. And I pray for them every day they should deliver it. We need it. We need new corridors. Even for my sanity, I want to hear a different name. But I was born with Lagos, but I would die inside Lagos. I mean, what is that? So we need to do that. And I think they got that right. Then in terms of procurement, if I tell you what goes on this, you will laugh. It was just phone call, my friend, go and start. And that's why they are doing what they are doing today. Otherwise, you'll still be at the stage of expression of interest, submit tender, bidding. 2 years will be gone, nothing will happen. And they have said by next year, the first phase will be ready. I think they've done something remarkable. Now, in terms of the operation and maintenance, they have said something good also, that it's going to be told. So, yeah, in conclusion, I want to suggest that Nigeria as a country, there are some industries that are over 100 years old. They don't need technology. They don't need grammar. We should go and dominate those things. But our banker and lawyer should leave us alone, please. Government, this is where the job opportunity is. Believe me. It's not training more of, it's technical jobs. Go to Korea. I've been to shipbuilding yard in Denmark, Odessa, where Maersk Line produced their ship. Over 2,000 welders on one ship. My master's degree was in naval architecture. And I asked my professor one day, what does it take to be a leading shipbuilding country? He said, look, let me tell you. Shipping is just one thing, welding. A lot of our youth are roaming about, they are doing fintech. How many people can technology employ? How many people? But we need mass job producing industries like construction, road construction. Today, India does 10,000 kilometers of road every year. 10,000. It's unbelievable. These are the industries we should go and colonize. They don't need, there's no technology in it. You just plug and play. Shipbuilding, I mentioned them here. Road, housing, hydropower. What's in hydropower? There's nothing in all these things. Power, housing, railway. What is in railway construction? The Chinese scam this country. I say it everywhere. If you see the BOQ for Lagos Ibadan railway, we are buying granite in dollars. All those granites in Abeokuta, we pay dollars for them. We pay dollars for laterite. They bring prostitutes here, they bring prisoners. It's a shame, it's a stop on all of us. We need to do something. And that's why I'm saying Nigeria should go here and take charge. What is in port construction? It's all, everything here is concrete and that requires raw manpower, labor. And that's the only way we can employ 100 million people. But if we are still waiting to do PPP, PFI, lawyers, accountants, well, I help you. I don't do my own, I don't talk my own thing.
Sir, thank you very much. I can see that I don't have to ask you to do better than that. You've already done the best. Wonderful. Thank you. I think that speaks to how well Mr. Biodun Otunola the engineer Biodun Otunola has delivered his message. Thank you so much, sir. I'm sure there are many questions for you, sir, so don't sit back too much. There are many questions for you because that was a paper very well delivered. If you have your questions, please, you may want to write it down. Or if you want us to pass the microphone, I'll pass the microphone to you. Because of our time, we'll take just a few questions. Right, I see a hand up there. Okay, but before I go to Engineer Biodun Otunola, we had one question. One question was passed to me for Professor Oyelayo Oyeyinka. So I'll just quickly ask you that question, sir, and then we'll move ahead. But let me say to you, sir, Engineer Biodun Otunola, that because of the quality of your paper and the what will I call it now? The immense information and that you've delivered this morning,